So welcome to the August 2024 intermediate sample here at Close to Home in Southington. So you're going to bring in your completed July block beginning Friday, August 9th through Saturday, August 31st to get this August block kit free. Okay, those are the dates. We have the All New England Shop Hop magazine. They have arrived at all the Close to Home locations. The hop runs the months of September and October with 91 participating stores throughout the 5 New England states. So you can use this magazine as a handy quilt store reference as well as inspiration for your next project. When you come into the store September or in October, you will get a stamp from the store to prove that you have been there. And you will also be picking up this 4-inch block. Let's see if I can just hold it up here. Every store that participates is going to give you one of these when you get your Shop Hop stamp in the magazine stamped. All right, so you can collect these. These are great to have. Every store is going to have a little bit different saying. So that's the Shop Hop. Also, I just wanted to note that we have put out quite a few Finish the Bolts at 50% off to make room for new lines, fabric lines that are coming very soon. So come check those out this weekend on Saturday. I think it's August 10th, and Friday the 9th, and August the 10th. We will have those Finish the Bolts out for you. You can pick up your Shop Hop magazine at that time. The block that we're doing uses the strip tube ruler, and we can go through the block. Very simple. These are all finished at 3 inches. So we're going to be using our strip tube to cut our half square triangles. And we'll get into that in a second. So from your kit, make sure, I can't stress this enough, that you iron your kit fabrics with Best Press. It will stabilize the bias on these half square triangles. All those stripes are on the bias, so you have to be super, super careful with a dry iron. And we're going to cut from our white 4 strips that are all 2 3/4. And just take the whole length of the strip. Don't cut it down to 14. If it's 14 1/4, you're good. If it's a hair less than 14, you're good. But just cut the strips. From all of the 6 colors, you're going to cut 2 strips of each that are 1 1/4 by the length of your kit fabric. Okay, so you're going to be receiving 6 color fabrics. Each of those, you're going to cut 2 1 1/4 from the peach, 2 1 1/4 strips from the multi-brick, etc., etc. 2 from the coral, 2 from the deep red. They're all the same 1 1/4. Be super exact on your cutting, and I'll show you why. The ruler that we're going to be using is called the strip tube ruler, and it's put out by Cozy Quilt Designs. Lots and lots of different patterns that you can use with this ruler. It makes very quick half square triangles at any size from 1 inch half square all the way down to a 9 inch half square. So what we're going to be doing today are 3 1/2 half square triangles. And the best way to note that on your ruler is we're going to put some painter's tape exactly on the line that we need. So if I need a 3 1/2 inch half square triangle, which is unfinished, finished at 3 inches, we're going to look for the 3 1/2 inch line. It's that simple. All right, so let's go ahead, make some strip sets, make our tubes, cut them with our strip tube ruler, and I'll show you how easy it is. All right, so we're going to start by cutting our strips, which I've done 2 each at 1 1/4, and I'm just going to take the peach, and you can honestly you can put these together any way you want. You can follow what I did. I just kind of randomly grabbed the peach, the brick, and the coral. So let's go ahead and we're going to sew these at a scant 1/4-inch seam. Now, we all know where a 1/4-inch seam is, but a scant 1/4-inch is about a thread or two shy of a 1/4-inch. Because when we get these pressed, we have some bulk in the seam that's going to take from our seam allowance. So we don't want to make quite a 1/4-inch seam. So it's going to be just shy of a 1/4 inch, okay? Not wider. All right, so I'm going to just start by putting my 2 strips right on top of each other. And with the Bernina, it's pretty simple to find the scant because if you can get a picture of my stitch plate, I think it would explain a little bit. So on a Bernina stitch plate, we have a 1/4 inch marking right here. And if I were to put my fabric under my 1/4 inch foot, which is my number 37, I want to see that marking. I want to be a stitch or two just to the left of that mark. I don't want to be over it like this. I don't want to hide it. I actually need to come over a little bit. And it's really going to help out. What I'm going to have you do is stitch 1 strip set together, press it, and see if it fits on your 2 3/4 inch white piece. If it does, you're good to go. Keep going and sew some more. All right, so here's my scant. And, try to sew straight. Whoa, so let's slow it down a little bit. Keep these right on top of each other, equal sides. But if I hold this in front, I can kind of guide it with my fingers and keep it nice and straight exactly where I can see that little mark. Now if you have a guide on your foot, just adjust where you're putting your fabric to get that scant. Now, it might take a little practice and you might need a few scraps out of your sewing stash to give it a shot. Okay, needle up. Let's cut this one. And we are going to go ahead and add the coral to the other side of this. So you want to try to match up one of these sides as close to as possible to the top of all of them. Okay. So we don't waste any. We want the entire strip. So all the way from the top to the bottom. And again, a nice scant 1/4. And again, it's only 1 or 2 threads shy of a 1/4 inch, but it will make a difference. If you've had trouble trying to get that nice 1/4 inch when you have a lot of pieces together, that's why. Let me heat up my iron real quick. Again, keep those raw edges right on top of each other. All right, so what I'm going to do is press these in one direction. I'm just going to give them a little bit of a little finger press. I just kind of hold them up, give them a little press this way and this way. And we don't want to kind of curve it or anything. We're going to keep it nice and straight. I'm going to take it to my iron and press these. And press these. All right. Okay, so we have our strip sets made, and again you're going to make 4 strip sets, 2 of this one and 2 using the other 3 strips. And again, you can mix and match. You can put them in any order that you're looking for. Okay, from this strip set, we're going to put right sides together with our white 2 3/4 and hope that it's pretty accurate. All right, and we're going to sew this time just a 1/4 inch down the top and down the bottom. And again, making sure that the edges are right on top of each other and they, are pretty even. Okay, so that one looks good. I'll go ahead and give this one a 1/4 inch. This time I'm stitching right on that line on my stitch plate, the one I showed you. A little bit showing, that's not going to make a difference. Quite honestly, that's quite all right. I'm just sewing a 1/4 inch from the white on the white edge. So all 4 of these strip sets are going to get a white 2 3/4, right side together. We're going to go up one side and then back down the other. Again, just a regular 1/4 inch all the way from the top to the bottom. What you don't want to do is to try to make this puffy so that it fits. Just lay them nice and flat on top of each other. And again, if a little bit shows, you're okay. And then after this, we're going to go ahead and cut our triangles, our half square triangles. All right. So let's get our ruler. And what we're going to do first is mark our 3.5 inch line. I think it's important because there are a lot of lines on this ruler. So I'm just looking down where it has a 1 on the solid is the 1 inch, the dashed is the 1.5, the solid here is the 2, 2.5, the solid is 3. I'm looking for the 3.5, so I'm going right for that dashed line right there. So it's 3.5. And you can see the half is marked on the ruler. So what I'm going to just do is put my tape here, and I'm going to take that 3.5 inch mark and I'm going to place it right on top. Right on top of the stitch line. Here, let's do this side so you can see it a little bit better. So I have a stitch line here and a stitch line up here. This blue thread that I used is going right on my 3.5 inch line. So it's not the solid. We're moving this all the way up so that the dashed 3.5 sits right on my stitch line. As you can see, it's coming right out here. And I want to make sure I move this over enough so I don't waste any of my strip. Okay. So we're going to go up one side, down the other. All right. Now you'll notice that the other seam allowance on the top of my strip is at the top of this tube. So you could just gently pull these apart and the threads will come apart. All right, so we're going to go ahead and turn this around, and the thread line, the seam at the top, is going to be right on that dashed line. This angle that we just cut is going to be along my strip tube ruler. And again, the dashed line comes right out where my threads are, right on the line I sewed. Make a second half square triangle. I'm going to flip it around, find the 3.5, put it on my thread line, match up that angle that I just cut, make a third and one more. So you can see you don't have a whole lot to miss with. Okay. So again, I have the other seam right up at the tip, so I'm very, very gently going to open up this tube and just give it a little tiny pull, and I can pull those threads out. All right, you can press in either direction. I find it's easier to go away from the light. I'm just going to give this a little finger press. Same with this one. Just pull that open very gently. This is all biased, so be super careful. Flip that, give that a little finger press. You should get 4 triangles out of each strip set. You're making 4 strip sets, so that's a total of 16 half square triangles. And you'll notice that 2 of them are going to have the peach at the top, and 2 of them are going to have the coral. It's just by flipping your ruler right side up and right side down, you're going to get 2 different blocks. So let's take this over to the iron, a nice dry iron, and again, you don't want to distort this. You want to keep this as square as possible. That best press really helps. And again, just give it a little bit of heat and stop. Okay, no steam. The next thing you want to do is take all 16 of your 3.5 inch half square triangles, and we're just going to snip off these little dog ears on these 2 sides. All right. Once we get all 16 of these done, this is going to be the fun part, because this is where you can play with these. I want these to be shaped like this. In my 16 patch, I want them to be organized by the corals up at the top here, with the peach here, the corals again, the top of the peach here, and you can kind of move them around so that they're not on next to each other. Here are some of the layouts that you can make with these the strip tube ruler. So this is the classic Roman stripes, and again, you're going to be 4 down and 4 across. So what your block is going to look like is this, which is really interesting when you go over to the next one and you go 4 down and 4 over. Would be right here. Oh, one more. Okay, one more. So it would look something like this, and that's good too. If you want to make your block like this, it's time to play. It's time for you to try different things. Okay, maybe you want the 2 tips together. But yeah, you can always pause the video and, oh, I like it like this, but as you make more, look at the effect. Of course, you get that radiating out effect. All right, so I hope you enjoy the strip tube ruler. There are so many patterns out there and books. If you're interested, we can order some books for you. But I've never done this ruler, and I hope you like it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.